It's been fun. I will be honest with you. This one's a little different for me because while I want to make it clear, we talk a lot about wrestling. This book picks up where controversy creates cash left off when I was leaving WWE in 2006. And at that point in time, I thought I was all done with wrestling. And I was grateful for it. It was time, right? Never thought I'd be in the wrestling business again. Well, over the course of the next 15 years leading up to today, spent some time in TNA, went back to WWE for a minute back in 2019, dabbled a little bit in AEW for, a couple appearances, and I've been doing this podcast, which is kind of like the periphery of the wrestling business. But the last 5 or 6 years has been a real journey for me on a personal level. And the book really kind of juxtaposes this personal journey and learning how to be grateful for everything that's happened, not only throughout my entire life, but over the last 15 years, with a lot of the things that were going on in the wrestling business. So it's a different kind of book. It covers a lot of wrestling, but it covers a lot of other personal stuff. So it's a little weird.
Well, Guy Evans, the author, put out the chapters of the book, the table of contents. And a couple of the chapters, I was like, oh my. One, shit hits the fan. When I saw that chapter, I thought, what could this be about? Now, obviously, you don't want to give the book away, but like, how much shit is going to hit the fan in that chapter?
A lot, and again, this is when I say it's been a personal journey. Look, I'm just going to cut through the chase here. I've had some amazing highs, but I've had some very interesting lows, particularly in the last 6 or 8 years. And coming out of those lows and learning that the way to get out of those lows was to find things to be grateful for, no matter how bad things were. And being able to learn how to do that. And I'm still struggling with that, man. It's a discipline. It's a little bit like martial arts. You got to keep doing it every day to stay good at it. But the lows that I describe and the shit that hits the fan, as we describe in that chapter, it's not good.
So but I'm assuming it's personal. I came out of it.
Oh no, it's very personal.
So I guess the question would be, how low are we talking about in life? Are you talking about financially, mentally, physically? Because obviously this book's going to reveal a lot about who you are and your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And showing everyone, like, it's kind of like you're naked, like you're showing everyone everything about you in this book. And like, how does it make you feel when you're really going to share the lowest lows and the highest highs?
That's the part that's weird. That's the part that's weird, because here's what I've learned, Steve, and I don't mean to be philosophical here. And I try not to be in the book, because I'm not trying to change anybody else's life. I'm not trying to be a self-help guy. I'm not, none of that. I'm just sharing a personal experience juxtaposed against the wrestling industry. But yeah, when you pull down your pants and show the world your ass, and you share things that typically we don't like to share. We don't like to talk about our finances, unless you're, a YouTuber and you got to, you're building your audience by showing, people how you live such a glamorous life. But, typically when things are not going well, you don't want to share that. You don't want to be judged. You don't want people to think less of you. Or if it's your personal life and you're having marital problems, you don't typically want to talk about that. And by the way, I want to make it clear, I've not had any marital problems. In fact, that's been the thing that I've been the most grateful for, is my wife is a rock of Gibraltar, but I'm using that as an example.
Yeah.
Typically, when you share very personal things, they're generally good things.
Yeah.
We all are fearful of being judged, and it's human nature. And I'm that way. None of us want to be judged by our mistakes or our perceived failures or challenges, right? We don't want people to think less of us. We have a fear of that.
Yeah.
And I learned through this journey that accumulating that fear and not wanting people to know or hoping they don't find out is like adding mental and emotional baggage that you have to drag with you 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And the more things you hope people don't find out or discuss or learn, the more weight and emotional weight and baggage you're carrying around. And that's one of the things that I've learned. And the podcast is really the light bulb That's my light bulb moment. You know, when I woke up one day and I went, I'm going about this all wrong. I'm defensive. I'm trying to protect my, you know, perception of me and my integrity or what I've accomplished. I don't want people to, you know, call me out on things, whether they're real or they're not, which in most cases they weren't. But it made me very defensive. And I found myself going, you know what? I'm just, because I had to. Conrad really forced me into it. I knew I had to find a way to be able to talk about my own failures with as much enthusiasm and honesty as I did my successes. And that process, and it didn't happen overnight. It happened over the course of a couple of years, really, to the point now where I have a blast making fun of myself. It's just, I just, because there's a lot of there's a lot of material there, you know. Forget about 83 weeks. This podcast is going to last for the next 15 or 20 years.